Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to slice through the noise and, well, find some surprising insights.
That's a plan.
Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're stepping back, way back to 1957, with a really revered Buddhist master, Luang Pu Wat Paknam. And we're looking at this sermon he gave called The Abbreviation of the Entire Buddhist Religion, as found in the Ovādapātimokkha.
Which is basically the core essence, right? The Ovādapātimokkha.
Exactly, like the Buddhist Cliff's Notes almost. And our mission really is to unpack the wisdom here. He distills everything into four powerful statements. And the amazing thing, they all start with the word happiness.
Yeah, that's striking.
So these points, they give us this unique lens, not just on ancient wisdom, but, practical stuff for living a good life right now.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is how this perspective blends history with a very unique internal view of spiritual growth.
Internal view.
Yeah, get ready for some concepts that might genuinely surprise you, especially around how a Buddha arises.
Okay, that word arising, it already sounds different from just birth. And this first statement, the arising of Buddhas is happiness, it immediately kind of challenges how we usually think about beginnings, doesn't it?
It really does.
The source says a Buddha's arising isn't like ordinary birth with its suffering. It's fundamentally happy. So how does the source break that down? What does that look like internally?
Well, it's described as this remarkable internal process. It happens within Prince Siddhartha's body, under the Bodhi tree specifically, not through normal parents.
Okay.
It's this sequence of arisings, different bodies emerging through something the text calls phanakau, like dreaming or dreaming in.
Dreaming in, like a spiritual dream.
Kind of, yeah. A profound one. So first, the, let's say, crude human body dreams, and this gives rise to a subtle human body.
Right.
Then that subtle body dreams and a diva body arises. And it keeps going like that through 8 increasingly refined bodies in existence.
8 bodies. Wow.
Yeah. Subtle human, deva, subtle deva, rupa brahma, subtle rupa brahma, coarser rupa brahma, and finally, subtle arupa brahma.
So definitely not a physical birth then. It's more like an evolution of consciousness happening inside.
Precisely, an internal spiritual transformation. And then that final subtle arupa brahma body dreams, and that gives rise to what the source explicitly calls the Dhamma body.
The Dhamma body.
And it says, this is the Buddha himself. It describes it like a perfect Buddha image, crystal clear like a mirror with that lotus bud top knot.
Like you see on statues.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. After that, another 9 Dhamma bodies arise, one after the other through the same dreaming. Each one marks a higher stage of attainment.
9 more.
Dhamma body, subtle Dhamma body, then Satapana, subtle Satapana, Sakadagami, subtle Sakadagami, Anagami, subtle Anagami, Arahant, and subtle Arahant.
It's incredibly detailed. A whole internal lineage.
It is. And the source even mentions their sizes increasing dramatically. From like 5 wa, that's about 10 meters, 33 feet.
Like a 3-story building?
Yeah, roughly. All the way up to 20 wa, that's 40 meters, over 130 feet. It's a teaching about this systematic transformation within, a literal spiritual evolution until enlightenment.
Okay, and the method. How does this Dhamma body actually arise? What's the practice involved?
The method described is about stopping still, really focusing the mind at the center of the sphere of Dhamma.
Stopping still?
And then progressing through these internal spheres, cultivating sila morality, samadhi concentration, panya wisdom, vimutti liberation, and finally vimuttinya dasana, the knowledge and vision of that liberation.
So it's a very specific meditative path.
Yes, that's the true practice view from Luang Pu Wat Paknam. Now, if you connect this to the maybe more familiar scriptural story.
The Pariyatti.
Right, you see the Buddha's, long history of developing virtues, the paramis.
Right, over many lifetimes.
Then his 6 years as Prince Siksa doing extreme practices.
Asceticism.
His enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, and then those 49 days of Vimutti Sukha, pure bliss of liberation.
49 days of bliss. The source emphasizes that happiness.
Immense happiness, yes. It really highlights that period.
An extraordinary experience. So what happens after that bliss when he decides to teach?
Well, the source adds this really interesting detail about his journey to find his first disciples, the 5 monks, the Panyakavage.
Okay.
It says he consulted his subtle Dhamma body about how to travel.
Consulted his, wow.
And he chose to walk. And as he walked, he radiated this incredible 6-colored light, the Jafanarangzi.
That aura you hear about.
Exactly. And it was apparently so powerful, so mesmerizing, that all the creatures he passed were just Captivated, deer stopped chewing, birds stopped flying, just staring at him.
Amazing.
And he even meets this wanderer, Upaka. The guy's stunned by the aura. But when the Buddha says he's self-enlightened, Upaka just doesn't buy it. Shakes his head, sticks out his tongue, and walks off.
Huh. Disbelief even then.
Right. But then he reaches the Paññikkāvaggiya monks, and they'd made this pact, remember?
Yeah, they were going to ignore him because he'd given up the extreme fasting and stuff they were still doing.
Exactly. They agreed, no greeting, no help. But the source says when he actually arrived, his presence, that radiance, it just completely overwhelmed them.
They couldn't stick to the plan.
Not a chance. They instinctively got up, welcomed him, got him water, prepared a seat. It just shows the sheer power of that arising and the happiness it embodied.
Which leads perfectly into the second point. The teaching of the true Dhamma is happiness. So now we get into what he actually taught those monks in that first sermon. What was the core message?
Okay, so when he sat down with them, he laid out the middle way, the Majjhima Patipada.
The middle way.
And he starts by saying what it isn't. It avoids two extremes. First is Kamasukhalikkhanu yoga, basically indulgence in sensual pleasures.
Okay, chasing pleasure.
Right. Described as, low, worldly for people with thick defilements, leading to household life and ultimately suffering and destruction.
And the other extreme.
Atthakilamathanu yoga, self-mortification, hurting yourself.
Like the extreme fasting heat abandons.
Exactly, or exposing yourself to harsh weather, even hitting yourself to subdue desire. He says this just causes suffering, it doesn't get rid of defilements, and it also leads to destruction. Pointless suffering, basically.
So the middle way avoids both. Not too much pleasure, not too much pain. A balance.
Precisely. But it's not vague. It's a very practical path with 8 parts. You've got right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration.
8-fold path.
That's the one. And these fall into 3 main trainings: sila, morality; samadhi, concentration; and pañña, wisdom.
Okay.
And building on that framework, he introduces the absolute core, the 4 noble truths.
Suffering, its cause, its cessation, and the path to cessation.
You got it.
And the sermon emphasizes these aren't just ideas to think about, right? They're active, things to do.
Absolutely. The source explains these 4 functions. Suffering isn't just there, it's to be known, understood, and the Buddha says, I have known it. Its cause, craving, isn't just noted, it's to be abandoned. And I have abandoned it.
Right.
Its cessation, nibbana, isn't just a concept, it's to be realized. And I have realized it.
Makes sense.
And the path, the middle way, isn't just talked about, it's to be developed, practiced. And I have developed it, it's very active.
That's powerful. And the effect on the monks, one of them got it straight away, didn't he?
Instantly. Katanya, he gained the Dhammajaku, the Dhamma eye.
The Dhamma, oh.
Meaning his mind became, as the text says, free from dust and stain. He saw directly, whatever has the nature to arise, all that has the nature to cease.
Wow. That core insight.
Yes. And that applies to everything, all sakhara, all formations.
Formations like
Bodily actions, speech, thoughts, good karma, bad karma, even those very deep meditative states. Anything constructed, anything conditioned, it all arises, it all ceases, impermanent.
I see.
And the source makes the crucial point. By understanding this, by practicing it, the other Paññikkāvaggiya monks also attained the Dhamma body. They reached arahantship. They experienced the same happiness the Buddha did.
So that's how the teaching itself becomes happiness, through practice and realization.
Exactly. It demonstrates it perfectly.
Okay, so that brings us to the third point about happiness. The unity of the Sangha is happiness. Now, this sounds like it's about monks, the Sangha.
It starts there, but it expands.
Right. The source makes it really clear this applies much more broadly. Families, communities, even whole nations. Unity equals happiness and strength.
Absolutely. The source really hammers this home. Unity brings peace, protection, disunity brings danger, and it uses this incredible historical story to illustrate it. Vesali and King Ajatasattu.
Vesali, that city again, and the king who wanted to conquer it.
That's the one. He tried attacking the Licchavi people there 11 times.
11 times.
Failed every single time. Why? Because they were completely united. They worked together seamlessly.
So the king was frustrated. He asked the Buddha for advice. That seems odd. Asking the Buddha for military tips.
Well, he explained his problem, but the Buddha, of course, didn't give military strategy. He just stated a general principle, almost philosophical, but very wise.
What did he say?
He said basically, look, wherever any group A city, a community, whatever maintains unity, they have great strength. They cannot be harmed.
Ah, not direct advice, but the king understood the implication.
He did, and he came up with this truly devious plan with his minister, a Brahmin named Vasakkara.
What was the plan?
The king pretended to be furious with Vasakkara. He had him publicly beaten and banished him, made it look totally real.
So the Licchavi would trust Vasakkara.
Exactly. They were known for being compassionate. They saw this high-ranking official apparently disgraced. They felt sorry for him, took him in, healed his wounds. He gained their trust.
Oh no, this sounds bad.
It was. Once inside, Vasakkara started his real work, very subtly. He'd go to one Licchavi leader and whisper something slightly suspicious about another leader, then go to that second leader and say something else, maybe contradicting the first story slightly, casting doubt.
Sowing seeds of mistrust.
Systematically.
Yeah.
He created friction, suspicion, paranoia within their council, which had always been based on open discussion and unity.
And once they were divided,
King Ajatasattu just walked in.
Yeah.
Sali fell easily. Their strength was gone because their unity was broken.
that's chilling. A powerful lesson.
And the source directly links this to everyday life. Families, if parents and kids aren't unified, the home falls apart. Villages, workplaces, any group disunity leads straight to decline, failure, ruin.
Didn't the source use some strong language, like calling disunity an omen?
A very bad omen, yeah. An evil omen, or kalakini, bad luck. It compared disunity entering a group to a broken begging bowl entering the house. Just fundamentally inauspicious and damaging.
Wow, a broken begging bowl. That's vivid.
It drives the message home. If you want things to go well, if you want progress, prosperity, anything good, you must have unity. And true followers of the Buddha, the source says, from stream enterers all the way to arahants, they're united. They don't quarrel.
Which leads right into the final point, and this feels really active. The ardent effort of the united ones is happiness. It seems to be saying unity isn't passive, it's unity for something.
Exactly. Unity and purpose. Specifically, the purpose of spiritual practice. The ardent effort here, tapa, means to burn away defilements.
So it's about the group working together with focused energy.
Yes, when a group is truly united, their collective energy, their effort, is aimed at destroying those mental impurities, the things that cause suffering. They work together to achieve purity.
Purity in what sense?
In their sila, their morality. In their samadhi, concentration. In panya, wisdom. In vimutti, liberation, and that vimuttinyadasana, the knowledge of liberation. It's like everyone is polishing their own mirror, but doing it together, supporting each other towards that shared goal of clarity and purity.
Like a team effort towards enlightenment.
Pretty much. And the source gives a really stern warning about things that mess this up, things that corrupt this unified effort and bring back disunity.
What kind of things? What does it warn against specifically?
It gets very practical. It mentions things like bringing in ghost-possessed mediums or spending time appealing to ghosts and deities, things seen as external distractions.
Okay, so superstitious practices.
Or diverting the group's focus towards worldly desires. It specifically mentions seeking lottery numbers, kor hua kor po, which was clearly a common distraction then, as maybe now. Basically, looking for easy shortcuts to wealth or worldly gain instead of focusing on the inner work.
So these things break the focus, break the unity of purpose.
Exactly. They're seen as serious hindrances. The source even calls them actions of Mara the Tempter, the principle of obstruction in Buddhism. These things prevent unity, they prevent proper practice, and they lead straight back to suffering, not the happiness they promise.
So the real happiness comes from everyone striving together.
Yes. The ardent effort of the United Ones means everyone is on the same page, working towards the same spiritual goal, in the same tune, playing Dio can, the source says. That shared, pure striving is profound happiness.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap those 4 pillars of happiness from Luang Pu Wat Paknam's teaching. First, the unique internal arising of a Buddha is itself happiness.
Right, fundamentally different from ordinary birth.
Second, the teaching of the True Dhamma, the Middle Way, the Four Noble Truths, brings happiness when it's understood and practiced.
Leading to liberation.
Third, the unity of any group, the Sangha being the prime example but applying everywhere, is happiness and strength.
The foundation for progress.
And fourth, the shared ardent effort of those united ones, striving together to burn away defilements and achieve purity, that collective striving itself is happiness.
A powerful framework.
It really is, and it makes you think, doesn't it? That Vasali story especially.
It does. It really raises a question for you listening now. Thinking about that story and these insights on unity and disunity, What groups are you part of? Your family, your workplace, your community. How might understanding the real power of unity, and maybe more importantly, how easily and subtly disunity can be sown, how might that change how you engage within those groups?
That's a deep question. And the final point, that ultimate happiness comes not just from knowing this stuff, but from doing it, from that collective, pure effort. So the challenge maybe is, how could you apply that wisdom, the ardent effort of the united ones, to a goal you share with others, something to really mull over?